Okay, it says here we're live. I just want to check the Facebook page. We are live. Nice.
What's up? What's up?
Okay, you got 1 minute more. Thanks for doing this, Shaz.
No problemo.
So yeah, we're gonna have a little structure here. We're gonna talk. We're just gonna recap, Alma. We're going to recap the news.
Okay.
The 3 news topics. Then we're gonna talk about a big topic like newbies to Bitcoin. The pitfalls and your experiences and all that. And then after that, we're gonna end it with some. We'll try and take some questions from the audience if there are any.
Okay.
And yeah.
Hopefully not too technical,
You can handle it.
Yeah, asking me how to stake ETH at 2.0, that one a bit difficult already.
If there are any. Oh wow, we got 137 viewers already. Okay, cool.
Hey guys.
All right, let's start. Okay. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever episode of the FOMO Dojo. Okay, now for those of you who may not know, FOMO stands for fear of missing out. I think it's a stock trading term that I only knew about when I started, buying cryptocurrency. And then FOMO is when, your aunties and uncles, they want to get into cryptocurrency. So then they buy in fear of missing out, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why I started this podcast is because I don't know about you, but ever since I bought into cryptocurrency, I've always been glued into crypto news, especially during this current bull cycle. So I thought, there is a demand for this kind of content now, especially, and there's no such podcast as I know of in this Asia Pacific region. And news and hype and interest about cryptocurrency has reached an all-time high right now, especially in Malaysia. So that's why I created this podcast. So to all those who are watching, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I will be here reading your comments, and towards the end we'll take some questions from the viewers. Now, I'm not an expert. Let me just introduce my crypto credentials, which are none.
Okay.
We have some cryptocurrency. My first guest on this first ever podcast is my good friend. I met him in comedy. His name is Sharizan Ferouz. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the Ferouz correctly.
Close enough.
Ferouz.
Ferouz. Yes.
And okay, someone has already asked, is this a serious session or will there be crypto comedy? Look, this is lighthearted, easy breezy. I actually am interested in the serious bits about cryptocurrency, but this is not a lecture or a webinar. Okay, so and the underlying theme is this is not financial advice. So if you go bankrupt, it's not our fault. Okay,
exactly.
So Sharizan Ferouz, or as Shah as I know him, I met him in comedy, and he introduced me to the world of cryptocurrency. He's a crypto investor, crypto trader, a lot of knowledge in his brain, right? And he's also the admin of the Cryptocurrency Malaysia Facebook group, right?
Yes, correct.
How many thousands of members? You reach how many members now? 11, 12?
11,000, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because like the chart of membership also follows the Bitcoin price.
Yes, correct. Right. I was like 5,000 for like the first 3 years, maybe, and then just more than doubled in the last 6 months, I think.
Yeah. So okay, so we Shaz got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency before me, and then I joined in I would say 2016, 2017, right? So I started investing and buying and reading up a lot about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And it's through Bitcoin I learned all this, financial terms and knowledge. It's very weird how cryptocurrency somehow makes people get interested in the financial world. You know what I mean?
That's true. In fact, I didn't know how money actually works. Why would you know, right? So now, after you're in crypto, then you realize, wow, this is how our financial system actually works. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it's interesting because the crypto fans will introduce a term like, say, money printing, right?
Yep.
And then you go, so your money, your fiat is getting is getting inflated, like the value has dropped because of money printing. And then when you read the news,
in crypto talk, brrr.
Yeah. So when you talk about money printing, the money printing machine goes brrr, and then you read the news, and they are actually doing it.
Yes.
So it's like, so there is some credence to what they say, you know. All right. So to all those of you, there's some interesting questions already. We're gonna take the questions. Thank you so much. For those of you just joining in, this is the first episode of FOMO Dojo. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I'm a huge fan and interest, and I have a big interest in cryptocurrency. Please leave your comments, say hi or whatever. I'll be here reading your comments. Now, I want some structure to this podcast. Okay, so the first segment is that we're gonna just break down some of the newsworthy items that have happened in the past week. And you know, I didn't plan this, but this week, Shaz, is like a monumental week for cryptocurrency. Like the amount of news is just mind-blowing and insane. To pick three is already insane. So we're going to talk about the first topic that is on everybody's minds and calculators and wallets. Bitcoin yesterday broke 50,000 US dollars per coin, and as of now, today, now, right now, this moment, it is breached 51,000. So what is your take? What are your comments on this phenomenon?
So I'm actually a little bit surprised that it hasn't just completely rocketed past 50K, because usually this type of psychological levels is either going to rocket past or retrace. But it seems to be like a steady climb past 50, 5,500, 51, so I don't know. I'm still expecting some kind of explosion, either upwards or downwards, probably sometime soon. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. There's just not enough Bitcoin in circulation. Everybody's buying it up from the miners. So I think, and we're only in half February. So we still got another 4-5 months of this bull cycle. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes.
Now, Shaz, many people do not know this, but you analyze the charts very differently from, say, like me, who look at the price and go, wow, it's going up, and then, you read the volumes and the trends. So how do you do this? I believe the term is technical analysis, or
yes, correct. Yes. So basically, nobody knows what's going to happen, right? But we have this thing called technical analysis, where based on past behavior, we try to sort of predict what may happen in the future, what's likely to happen. So one of the things that we kind of look at as well is called Bitcoin market cycles. So the last because Bitcoin tends to be in market cycles based on the halving of Bitcoin. So should we explain what the halving is? Or
yeah, sure. Okay, so very quickly, you explain.
Okay, sure. So every 210,000 blocks, roughly about 4 years, the supply of Bitcoin gets cut by half. That means the creation of new Bitcoin. So at first it was 50 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes, and then it became 25, and then 12.5, and now we're at 6.25. Okay, so the last halving happened last year. And usually about 6 months after a halving, that's when the shortfall of new Bitcoin coming into the system starts to take effect, and that starts to affect the price of Bitcoin. So previously, the peak of Bitcoin was at about, I think it was almost 20,000. I think depends on which exchange you're looking at, but it was about $20,000. Before that, it was about $1,300 before it finally entered a correctional cycle of about a year. So these bull cycles tend to last a year, and then the correction cycle about a year-ish, and then kind of like sideways for 2 years, and then rinse and repeat again. So that's what has happened in the past. So previously, it went from about 1,300 to about 20,000. So that's like about 15x-ish, somewhere around there. So if you extrapolate that again, 20,000, 15x-ish, it gets you to about 300,000. But I think when you look at how big that market cap would be in the trillions, that is quite high. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll get to 400,000. Who knows, right? But personally, I think that the market cap is getting to a point where it's getting really big. It's starting to displace gold. So this is not financial advice, but based on this, if you look at 10x, okay, so not 15x, even 10x, that should take Bitcoin to about 200,000. I think that's a not too conservative, not too crazy prediction, in my opinion.
I mean, 10x, but 10x from now is 500,000, right? 10x from
10x
the
from the last all-time high. So the last all-time high was about 20K. So 10x from there would be about 200.
Yeah, it's very daunting to think, because like if you go on Twitter, a lot of these crypto fans were like, oh, if we have the same market cap as gold, that means it'll be 500,000, or which
Yeah.
is like market gold is what, a 500 trillion market cap. How much?
Gold, if I'm okay, let me just Google this real quick. I think it's about 10 trillion, if I'm not mistaken.
It sounds very tempting to speculate like that, but I
Yeah,
think that when
about 10
Bitcoin,
trillion.
when Bitcoin reaches the market cap of gold, I think also we do not discount the fact that gold itself, the value will drop if, when the revolution comes.
Right.
It's not, gold market cap won't stay as the current price now. It's gonna decrease. Anyway, we had a short dip of gold yesterday, right?
Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention to gold, unfortunately.
So it's interesting. It's very scary to predict it that way. And then, of course, the question that everyone asks, including myself, is when will it crash? Because it seems too good to be true. Like we just, it was just last week when it was 38,000, and now it's 51. Right. It's insane. It's almost an increase of 30%. I have not seen any asset class which can give such returns in such a short amount. It almost feels like gambling when you're investing in cryptocurrency.
Yes, it does. The gains feel like it, right? And I guess depending on when you enter, maybe even the losses. But if you look at the previous cycles, they last about 10, 11 months. So I think if you count like the end of November, beginning of December is when this cycle started. That means maybe like August, I guess, somewhere around there, the cycle should last.
Okay,
in theory.
So that means, Shaz, I'll take your word for it. On August, I'll sell all my cryptocurrency, and then whatever happens, it's your fault, right?
Well, obviously, if what happens if it goes higher than that? Will that be my fault as well?
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's your fault if it goes higher, and then if it crashes, then of course I will name my next child.
So if it crashes, what percentage do I get?
we can talk after we go off air. So obviously, I mean, how monumental you think this Bitcoin breaking the 50,000 barrier? How big of this moment do you put this amongst all the other Bitcoin moments that we have experienced?
Honestly, I think it's not as significant as when it broke 10,000 or when it broke 1,000. Like every time it adds that extra digit, like now it's like a 5-digit, 4-digit. I remember watching it when Bitcoin went from like a couple of $100s to 1,000. Looking at the decimals, it just looked strange. Like doesn't look right because it's like 4 decimals. And then when it went to 10,000, again, it doesn't look right. So I think 50,000, while it's definitely a psychological level, and I think we were just talking about the guy's name was Paul Schiff, who was saying that
Peter Schiff. I will never forget the name because Peter Schiff continuously gets roasted on crypto Twitter. It's hilarious.
Right. Yeah, even by his own son. So
you're a billionaire and your son roasts you because you're wrong about gold. My God.
Exactly. So he was saying that he wouldn't get to 50,000 and now it's at 50,000. And now he's saying, okay, maybe it'll get to 100,000, but then eventually it'll get to 0. And you're like, okay, so when it gets to 100,000, then you're going to say it's like, okay, not 200,000. So how long are you going to keep this up? How long are you going to keep being wrong? So in that sense, it's kind of monumental, but otherwise, I think 100,000, you'll see probably a lot of people rushing in.
I remember when I was there. I was there when it went from 4 digits to 10,000. And I get what you mean because on my phone I have a widget, to keep updating the Bitcoin price on my home screen. Right. And when it reached 10,000, it feels like they had to rearrange the numbers to make it smaller.
Yes. To 5. Yes. The font size had to be smaller, right? Because you can't fit.
Okay, for all those of you who are new to the crypto world, if you go on Twitter, Twitter is an amazing smorgasbord of information. It's very fertile. It's very funny because when they roast each other. Peter Schiff, Schiff, is this guy who is a gold proponent, I think he has some funds invested in gold or whatever. They call him a gold bug,
Right.
and he is very hilarious because he will keep predicting the wrong things about gold, and then crypto Twitter just piles on him. It's very interesting
Yeah.
to watch him, and it's insane how he was like enticed by his crypto friends to buy at $1, $10, $100, $1,000, and it's now at 50,000. And I get it when he says he doesn't believe in cryptocurrency. I get it, but surely you can admit that
Yeah.
you could have made a lot of money if you just
Yeah.
bought and sold according to, if you bought it when your friend said buy and you sell it now, you would have made a lot of money.
Yeah. And you're a billionaire. What's 1 million? Just throw a million in there, right?
Yeah.
A million at $1? Come on. How
I
rich
think
would you be now?
the egos of billionaires are a very weird thing. It's so weird. Okay. Right. So once again, we've got a lot of viewers. Thank you so much. We're going to dive into the next news topic. So another big thing that happened in the past 7 days is that, surprise, surprise, Elon Musk, CEO of founder of Tesla, SpaceX, and God knows how many other things. He's the Tony Stark of our world. He was tweeting about Dogecoin and then Bitcoin, and then on Twitter, he said, in retrospect, it was all in retrospect, it was all inevitable. And Tesla announced that they have bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, so that they can accept payments for Tesla in Bitcoin. And by the way, that investment, 1.5 billion, has now increased up to 30% in value because they bought it in January and now we're in February, so it's gone up in value. Okay, obviously, big news. This was a big one. This was the entire crypto world went nuts. Right? What's your take on it?
Yeah, so I think today as well, Jeff Bezos has become the richest man in the world again because Tesla buying that Bitcoin has caused the stock price to drop temporarily.
Yes.
So that's what I read. But yes, it's just a matter of time before those investments pay off. And then the question is, what's going to be the next company? The rumor is it's going to be Apple who's going to buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin. So
Apple has allowed, or rather is accepting Bitcoin payments sort of indirectly via Apple Pay. They have not bought Bitcoin yet. Which company are you excited about of doing the Tesla?
Probably Apple, I guess, because they're the biggest company at the moment. So I think if Apple does that, that will definitely send ripples through all the other companies. And because it's buying Bitcoin as a company would probably be unconventional until somebody does it. When the big boys start doing it, then suddenly the smaller guys have to think, I think we need to do it because the big guys are doing it for a reason. Maybe we need to consider it, And if you were to pitch it, I assume in a boardroom meeting before Tesla doing it, you would sound like a crazy person. Now, not so much. So I have a feeling that companies will probably start to imitate each other. And maybe this is the beginning of the floodgates. Who knows?
The problem is, well, it's not a problem. It's the one wrinkle is that Elon Musk has always been known to be rebel, maverick.
Yes, that's true.
It'd be great if someone like really reliable and boring buys Bitcoin. I think it's someone like Warren Buffett. His company buys Bitcoin. Then the big institutions will buy, because Warren Buffett, he's not terribly exciting or visionary, but he's very reliable.
Yes.
If he does it, then I think it's safe. Then everyone will follow.
Yeah. But it's coming around the corner. I think now Bitcoin is maybe still, cryptocurrency is still controversial, but soon it's just going to be, it's something that we need to have in our portfolio. Eventually, everybody needs to have some. Some form of crypto. Yeah.
I was reading somewhere that the one thing that crypto fans are really looking forward to is what's the word? A large funds institution, like those retirement funds like EPF or whatever. If they start buying Bitcoin, man, I think that will be a huge shift.
And it's not enough, right? So eventually, people said it's going to be to a point where it's difficult to own one whole Bitcoin. Like it's going to be difficult for the retail person to hold one whole Bitcoin. So, yep, we're getting there. These are all, of course, predictions. So we'll see. My main concern with Bitcoin is the what they call the transaction fees, because right now Bitcoin using it as a payment system is just not possible. So it's only used right now to buy altcoins or as a store of value. So how long can that be appealing? Like gold, it has other purposes as for jewelry, electronics, and stuff like that. So I don't know whether it's going to be a hindrance or whether it might not matter. The fact that it has other qualities, like you can use it to buy altcoins and it's easily transferable internationally for large quantities. Maybe that might be enough. But we're entering a lot of unknown waters. So I think it's interesting to see where it goes.
We talked about the solution for this Bitcoin transfer fees and all that, and the time it takes to do a transaction. Like, what's the update with the Lightning Network? Will it ever improve? Or...
So the Lightning Network, I think I've been hearing that it's around the corner for the last, I think, 3 years. Lightning Network just around the corner.
Many corners.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a Malaysian coming for his late. Where are you? Around the corner, bro. On the way.
I just left the house. Traffic light.
Yeah, traffic light, bro. roundabout. So yeah, this the problem with Lightning Network for me is that the idea that your transactions are fast and like you can make like thousands of transactions per second, but only in the Lightning channel seems a little bit weird. Like it's not. I don't see the wide use case for it, because it's sort of like I have this very fast car that I can drive, but fast, but only on this road, not everywhere. You know what I mean? So your transactions are only fast in that Lightning channel, but to make transactions to everyone else, it's the same speed. And to close the Lightning channel, you still need to pay the transaction fees. So it's a very long sort of like topic to talk about. Oops, I dropped something. It's a very long topic to talk about, but I think that Lightning Network, I have a feeling it's never going to solve the transaction fees for Bitcoin.
Okay.
So then, yeah. So I don't know whether Ethereum, then that might benefit Ethereum if they can solve their transaction fees. But yeah, I think for Lightning Network, I have a feeling it's never going to be a thing.
Right. Okay. So moving on swiftly to the next big thing that happened. Now this one is the thing that, almost all my friends who were never into crypto heard of it. Dogecoin. Okay.
Right.
Or Dogecoin or whatever, Dogecoin or whatever you call it, right? So I would just ask you a simple question. What the fuck happened, man? What is this? I get irritated that in this. No, because whenever someone asks me about Dogecoin, I go like, it doesn't have any fundamentals. It doesn't have any real value. Then I realized that's what a non-coiner sounds like when they talk about Bitcoin in the past.
Right.
Like no value. What the fuck is this? Is no value. Bullshit. Like that's exactly how no coiners sound when I asked them about Bitcoin like 4 years ago. So seriously, Shaz, what the fuck is going on with Dogecoin?
Well, it's a meme coin, obviously. I think it's a fork of Litecoin. So and there's no it's meant to be inflationary as opposed to deflationary. So there's always going to be more coins being created because it's a joke. It's not meant to be taken seriously, right?
Is the Doge blockchain, is it infinite? Like it will never.
There's no upper limit of how many coins.
Never stop.
It'll never stop. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's an inflationary coin.
Yeah. And what has irritated me is some people are making like 7x's. What the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's Elon's work.
Yeah, Mark Cuban said something pretty interesting on Twitter. He said that this Dogecoin is pretty interesting because it's so cheap, and when it's fun to see the price go up and down, and that's a very good way of introducing stock trading, stock markets, all these financial markets to his child, to his son. So it becomes a very cheap yet fun tool for people to learn about these kind of things. I mean, that's the only best use case, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, to be honest, I've never really looked at Dogecoin much either, until recently with all the news and, apparently Elon Musk is buying Dogecoin based, the amount of Dogecoin, people know it's Elon Musk because the amount that's being bought is his birth date or something like that. So, and I think he's buying it for his son. He's calling his son a toddler hodler of Dogecoin. So it's like a lot of meme stuff that's coming from Elon. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be paying much attention to Dogecoin. And the GameStop guys, right? The GameStop guys are pumping Doge as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't really know much about it. I was forced to learn about it because of all of this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it except that it's supposed to be a joke that's gone viral.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a joke coin, which when you give people 7x returns, it's not really that funny anymore when you are not in that 7x.
You're right. You're correct.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, thank you everyone who is watching. Shortly after the next segment, we're gonna take some questions. Now, this thing that I want to talk about is the meat of this episode, where I want to explore how you and I talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to non-coiners, to people who are new into this, because it seems that they will always come with the same set of misconceptions. So I want to know what's your strategy to educate them.
Yeah, it is something that takes a while to wrap your head around. So I don't completely blame people when I tell them things like, "Hey, nobody owns Bitcoin," and like somebody was mad at me that I said that. Said that you're lying to me. There's no such thing. How can there be nobody that owns Bitcoin? Like, and I gotta explain.
No. You mean no. I mean to the viewers, what Shaz means is there is no company called Bitcoin.
Yes.
So there is no Bitcoin Sendirian Berhad or Bitcoin Private Limited.
Yes.
Unlike say when you okay, the US dollar is started by the US Federal Reserve, so they own the money and then they give out the money. So in terms of Bitcoin, there is no one who owns the Bitcoin machine that gives out Bitcoins.
Yeah. Nobody controls Bitcoin, basically.
Yes, nobody controls Bitcoin. It is a decentralized thing where everyone contributes. But so how can you tell me? So your friend was mad that you were obviously lying to that person. How can nobody own something? So then
exactly. So I gotta explain the internet. Who owns the internet?
Al Gore owns the internet.
I did not know that, so I got to go look it up. So but that's generally what I try to explain to them. I say everybody sort of contributes, so then the internet is one thing, but there's no internet limited or internet like Sendirian Berhad, like you said, right? So slowly they kind of understand that way, and just like, oh, Bitcoin's price is so high because the exchanges set it at that number. And like, no, it's based on supply and demand. It's not exchanges setting the number and then that's what the price of Bitcoin is, So this kind of common misconceptions and
the one misgiving I don't blame people for having is when I say we don't know who started Bitcoin.
Yes. Yes.
So they ask who started this Bitcoin. It's a person / guy / girl / group of people named Satoshi Nakamoto, which is a pseudonym, a fake name, and we don't know who they are. Like it's hard. It's like religion, There's a mythical figure.
Exactly, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons why it's so successful is because Satoshi just disappeared. So I think maybe that, because I think the U.S. government would have tried to look for him or something like that. But I read this article saying that Satoshi Nakamoto is actually 3 people, and two of them were suffering from ALS, I believe, and they have actually passed away. So that's why Satoshi Nakamoto is, he's not around anymore. Yeah.
And a fun fact for those of you just tuning in, apparently the wallet, the Bitcoin wallet that is alleged to be Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet, has not been spent. The Bitcoins that were mined in the very beginning were not spent. So has not been spent. So yeah, maybe they've passed away, or for some reason the Bitcoin is no longer in circulation. Yeah, so that's the one thing that is difficult for me to
Right.
convince people, because like, what the fuck do you mean by you don't know who started this thing that you're spending money in. Okay, talking about how you use Bitcoin and as analogous to the internet. Recently, I had a friend who asked me, what if someone, in his own words, what if someone pressed the button to stop Bitcoin, or to stop the Bitcoin server? Then I use the same analogy. Can someone
Right.
just stop the entire internet? You know,
Yeah.
you can't, because the internet is multiple millions and billions of computers interconnected. You can shut off all the computers, but as long as one person still has the protocol, then when electricity comes back on, the internet is there again. So
Exactly.
that's how I try to explain, you know,
Mhm.
Bitcoin. Also, it's something interesting that I realize a lot of people who are interested in Bitcoin, they may not know, and I think this is the biggest barrier to
Mhm.
people actually buying Bitcoin, because it's not emphasized enough, is that when prices are all-time high right now, they say, oh, I cannot afford Bitcoin, because they think that to buy a Bitcoin, you must buy one Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you take some steps to say, a Bitcoin is divisible up to 8 decimal points. You can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, and they don't seem to understand that.
Right. Yeah. You can buy fractions of Bitcoin. Yeah, that's true.
Or
So
sats, as you call it.
yeah, Satoshis.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what other misconceptions do you battle when you try to convert them?
I guess sometimes people they say that it's not, it's not physical. I want things that I can touch. Only stuff that I touch is real. That kind of stuff, right? So then I gotta explain to them, like, like money is not really real anymore. Like, you think money that you hold in your hand is real. Okay, like, that's not backed by anything. First of all, the only reason why it has value is because you have to pay tax in it, and companies have to use it. So therefore, your government sets laws that make it valuable. But then after that, money in your bank account, the numbers that you see in your bank account, because of fractional reserve banking, that's not real either. Like 90% of that is just numbers. It's not physical cash. So, and then I go on a long story of how it actually works. And then slowly they're like, oh, okay. Then they kind of get it. But I don't completely blame people for being skeptical or not understanding it, because it does take a while to really wrap your head around what exactly this is. It is a new asset class. It's kind of like a currency. It's kind of like an asset. It's kind of like a stock. It has characteristics of all of this together. So I don't blame people for being confused at the beginning. I just I got to give them a little bit, and then you digest this, and then you go Google, and then you come back to me again.
There was I shared a screenshot with you. Someone asked me, or someone tried to like instigate an argument. He was saying that, oh, spending money to buy digital numbers in the virtual world, that's not a good idea. And then I replied, literally all your money is digital numbers in the virtual world, right? It's like 90% of your money is numbers in the bank. You only withdraw 10% of cash, and even that is dwindling, because we use digital payment wallets and all that. So we hardly see real hard cash in front of us
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, and you can see, like, everybody's moving over to mobile wallets, right? Like,
Mm.
it used to be, I need to go to the ATM at least every 2 weeks to withdraw money. Now it's like an event. Oh wow, I have to go to the ATM. Like, it's unusual because I'm just using mobile wallets everywhere.
Yeah,
So
and even like I use the cash only for like small payments,
yeah,
like Chap Fan store or the Mama,
yeah,
where they don't have but even that is changing, because Mama places have,
exactly.
all this Grab Pay and all that stuff.
Yes,
It's changing.
and
Two
got
days
discount ammo. You play with the app, you got 5% off.
A few days ago, I think 2 days ago, my wife asked me a one of those questions which is very hard, even as a fan, for me to answer is, what is the intrinsic value of Bitcoin? How would you answer that question?
So I guess the question would be, what is the intrinsic value of money? You know,
Yes.
so it's all about supply and demand, right? You want something. So there's something that I read an article about. People will always find something to use as money. You know, whether it's seashells, and in jail, what's a very apparently common currency that people use is Maggi, like ramen, like those packets, because it's fungible. It has very similar characteristics to money. Fungible, you can definitely use it. There's a high demand for it, so people will use money. You know, whether you, if let's say for example, you tell somebody there's a digital Bitcoin value is, let's say right now it's zero, right? But Bitcoin exists. But you tell people there's this money that you can transfer. People will start to go back and start to use Bitcoin as money again. And eventually the price will start to climb again because people want to use it. So there's that demand there of people wanting to use something. And people are using Bitcoin because they want to, not because they have to. So I think that is, everything has value because of supply and demand. I want the Bitcoin, you know, so what do I have to do to get it? So that's the value that comes through there. And also, because you can't duplicate it without using equipment, using ASIC mining and all these kind of things. So I think there's the proof of work that goes into the Bitcoin that causes it to have value. If you want to get a bar of gold, right, you need to go mine it, sieve it, melt it, shape it, and then that proof of work is what this gold bar is worth, because you did all of that work. Same thing for Bitcoin. You have all these machines mining, hitting a block, and that all of that is proof of work. Then you can get a Bitcoin. So yeah,
I remember a story where people were making fun of, like all these games like Dota and World of Warcraft, where there happens to be a secondary market where people would literally sell you the in-game gold coins.
Yes.
Outside of the game for actual money.
Yep.
Or they will grind and get items, and then they sell the items offline, out of the game, to people for actual cash. And then people made fun of it. But then one very smart guy said, look, as long as something requires effort to make it and people want it, there is value. And apparently the outside game market for these kind of items were like millions of dollars. The people were actually they actually hired people to farm the items and then sold the items for profit. That to me is a good example of how you can create something of value out of nothing. You don't have to, in the virtual world.
Yes, because it takes time, right? So either you pay the money and you save yourself the time, or you go and hack and slash, right?
Yeah. And so that is, and also the one thing I like about the whole story about Bitcoin, which is, when I first got into Bitcoin in 2016, it wasn't that apparent. Then now in the current new bull cycle, I started reading into it again, and people are pushing this narrative, which I think is true. Is like Bitcoin is a way for people like you and me. I exchange value to you, you exchange value to me, without the oversight of a third party, which I think is pretty cool, because in all other transactions, it's, I give you money, you cash the money, it goes through the central bank, whatever. It requires some third party to influence this transaction, and that is, the traditionally, historically, is all prone to manipulation, and the big guys fucking over the small guys. But with Bitcoin, decentralized ledger, we bypass it. It's like carving your own freedom. How romantic are you about this notion?
Yeah, basically, you trust the code. You trust the math. You don't trust a person. And personally, that sounds, code and math sounds way more trustworthy compared to people, right?
Yes.
And right now, it's just going to be banks. Eventually, it'll be a bunch of other stuff that can be replaced. Anything that needs an intermediary can actually be replaced with code or some kind of blockchain application. eBay, for example, Uber, all of these things can be replaced, because why do you need Uber? You need, because you don't trust maybe the guy who's taking you on a ride to get you to your destination, and the guy who's driving you doesn't trust that you'll pay him after he gets you there. So you
Ah.
need a third party to make sure that this thing goes. But you don't need to do that. You can use code. You can use the Ethereum blockchain or any other smart contract blockchain to do it. And Andreas Antonopoulos, actually, I went for he came to KL. I went for his talk, and he had a very interesting take that in the future there could be a taxi company when there's self-driving cars, right? That buys these self-driving cars, and these cars are programmed after a certain point survey, certain point, go to fill up fuel, and then when it's a certain point of money, buy more cars. And this taxi company could just be a huge taxi company with lots of cars taking passengers everywhere, but there's nobody running it. It's all on code. So it pays its income tax, everything perfectly.
Wow.
But let's say the person who launches it dies, the taxi company will still run.
Aha.
Yes. So it'll still run, still be running on the blockchain, still be picking up and sending up people, still paying the taxes, still growing, but there's nobody running it. It's all code.
Assuming that the cars are the autonomous driving cars, like
Yes.
Tesla's cars, lah.
Yes.
Which then brings up a very interesting question. Say something happens, who do we sue?
Well, I guess.
You can't sue the code.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This is a hypothetical question, right? But maybe at that point they'll be able to. Oh, okay. If we get this lawsuit, hire this lawyer, trigger this lawyer. Lawyer command goes in. This is so lawyer fails. Okay, pay out this amount, something like that. Who knows, right? Anything is programmable.
Okay. Something interesting come up in the comment section. I will first address this guy here who says. That's why criminals use it. I presume it's about talking about Bitcoin, but that's why criminals use Bitcoin. This is pretty interesting. And then there was a good rebuttal, I think, by Dan Held or Michael Saylor, one of those big guys in crypto. It says, well, the amount of fines paid by banks for financial crimes is way more, 10 times more than the amount of Bitcoin used in, fraudulent transactions. I mean, to me, it's a very weird argument that people make. Oh, Bitcoin is used by criminals. Well, guess what? The US dollar has been used by big criminals also. I don't get it.
There's this movie, Ben Affleck, it's on Netflix, I think, where he goes and robs this drug dealer in the middle of the jungle, and he has walls and walls of US dollars stacked in the walls, and that's what they steal. And the money is so heavy that the helicopter actually crashes halfway. Spoiler. But yes, US dollars are used for way more criminal activity than this. So, people, they're criminals out there, right? Whether they use Bitcoin or whether they use US dollars, they're going to find a way. And at least Bitcoin is not anonymous. You can see the transactions happening. Whereas for US dollars, there's no paper trail at all. So,
I would love to one day interview someone from Bank Negara or SEC about this, and then we can discuss it in length. Okay, perfectly. We've come down to the question segment. There are people who are clamoring for us to answer this question by Tan Wan Chen. All right, Tan Wan Chen. I'm going to show it, but it's a huge. Okay. So money is backed by the full trust of the government, bro. The government will make good on its promise to assign the value of that money. Bitcoin is not backed by any institution. It's faceless, right? That's correct. Its advantage is also its disadvantage. Interesting take. What are your thoughts, Mr. Moneyman?
Okay, it's not really a question though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, fiat has value because your government says that you need to pay tax in this currency. So that's why it has value. Otherwise, fiat, unlike gold, you can print as much as you want. There is no cap. It's obviously inflationary. You can see 100 ringgit now and 100 ringgit 10 years ago, not the same. Bitcoin is not backed by anything, but why does it need to be backed by a government? So it's based on supply and demand. Like gold, it's very similar to gold. If you can see, there's this proof of work that goes into it, and You need to put in a certain amount of work before you get gold. Same thing for Bitcoin. It's basically digital gold. It's very simple. So I think this whole my government needs to tell me what's valuable thing is kind of like a old way of looking at things. Things have value because they have value, because people want it. So if you're telling me that because my government doesn't say it's valuable, therefore it's not valuable, it's like, why do you feel that way? People are willing to pay that price for it. That's what the value is. So, and I don't know what you mean by backed. Like, even that also, you say like it's backed by the government guarantees its value, but how does it guarantee its value? You know what I mean? Like, your currency is constantly dropping against other currencies. How does it guarantee your value? That's a weird statement, which I don't even think is true. So
yeah, as a layman, I can see your point, because like even like when I read about the US Federal Reserve printing money, and it's obvious that the US dollar has, I mean, not in relative terms to the Malaysian ringgit, but the US dollar has depreciated, and even looking at us, the Malaysian ringgit has also depreciated. Remember when it went from don't know what 3 point something to 4.2 in like a week, in like a month, and that shocked everybody. And that, I mean, the government then or now can't even do anything to back up the value, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so this is the other example that sometimes I like to give, right? If let's say you have a business, right? You start a business, restaurants, whatever, and you start to hire staff and you work in, you put in the effort, and 5 years later, you've got 5 restaurants. Total money that you've made from this is maybe like, let's say 10 million ringgit, right? Okay. So that 10 million ringgit comes from all the effort that you've put in, all the work everyone else has put in, work and risk and everything. Over 5 years, you've got that 10 million ringgit. And then a central bank anywhere in the world just comes and prints 10 million out of thin air. Where does that 10 million get its value from? It just came out of thin air, right? So where did it get its value from? It didn't create a business. It didn't hire people. So where did it get its value from? It's from your 10 million. Because now it's diluted your 10 million by half. It is a crude example, but that's another way how governments tax you. You do all the work, you do all the business, you create this value for your currency through all this work. And
very real value.
Very real value. Central bank comes, prints it just like that, without telling you, without informing anyone. I now print it. Now I have everything that you have. That's one way of taxing you indirectly. And that's why your money is constantly depreciating. Whereas for Bitcoin, you can't do that. You can't just print whenever you want. It's fixed and it's finite. Okay. So that's my argument.
Fixed and finite. That's a good segue into another question, which I would like to address. Okay. Hold on. Someone's at the door. Hold on.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, wife just came back. Hello. Okay. Shaz was saying something about how Bitcoin is fixed and finite, which segues very nice to this particular comment. I want to address it. Okay, I think when it's regulated by government, there is someone who regulates how money can be used. But BTC can disappear the next morning you wake up. Okay, so I think Shaz has quite explained the first part of his comment. The second part of the comment, I think even a layman like me can explain. The BTC will not disappear.
Yeah.
The value may drop, but it's going to be there. You can't stop the mining of new Bitcoins. Even if you destroy all the computers there are, and you need trillions of US dollars, coordinations by governments, companies, and a whole host of people to destroy all the computers that are mining Bitcoin. And even if you leave behind one laptop that is continuously proofreading and mining the Bitcoin blockchain, it will still continue. So it's very hard for Bitcoin to just disappear just like that. I think that's my take.
the internet has to disappear. If the internet can suddenly disappear tomorrow, then Bitcoin can disappear. So what are the chances of that happening?
Right. Okay, we've got some really good questions, guys. Please leave your questions. We'll try and take them as many questions as we can. Let's see. Okay, this is a very good question. It's something on my mind also by Kenneth Ong. Can the feds or government ban or sabotage Bitcoin?
So what they can do is they can make it difficult for you to buy it and make it difficult for you to sell it. But the Bitcoin blockchain, so there's the value of Bitcoin, and then there's the Bitcoin blockchain. So the Bitcoin blockchain or most other cryptocurrency blockchains, they can't do anything to stop it. They've tried. Governments don't like it that there's this alternative money that they don't control. They tried very hard, but slowly all of them have realized, hey, we can't actually stop this, because as long as there's one PC running in a laptop, like Jason said, somewhere in Antarctica, it's still going to be running, right? So they can't stop it, but what they can do is maybe try to make it difficult for you to buy it and sell it on exchanges. But what they realize is then it becomes a black market. So there's a black market of people buying and selling cryptocurrency. So you're not really stopping it that way. So now what governments are realizing this question was very valid, maybe like in the early days of Bitcoin, within like about the first 5 years, I would say. But after a while, governments realize, oh no, we can't stop it. So what can we do? Let's tax it. So I want to get my cut. Okay, I cannot stop. Never mind. Where's my money? You know what I mean? So I think that's where governments are right now. They realize that they can't stop it, so let's make money from it instead.
You know, it's like it's a very progressive mindset to have, and I think if they have this mindset on other things like the war on drugs, you know, when you decriminalize drugs, you know, and you, I think it's a lot of benefits that, as studies have shown.
Yes,
when you decriminalize drugs, you know, sorry, this is on a tangent because I love the idea of medical marijuana and different podcasts. Right? Yeah, we got a lot.
Some other dojo.
Different dojo. Okay, we got a lot of awesome questions and comments. Okay, let me see. Blah 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 blah. Okay. This is something very technical. Okay, this is by Kelvin Lee Ekyong. Detractors are worried quantum computing will devalue crypto because it'll be easier to mine. I can already guess what you're going to say, but what are your thoughts?
So quantum computing is still quite a mile away. We haven't quite developed something that is it can. So what she's saying is that when you use quantum computing right now, Bitcoin is coded on SHA-256 and a bunch of other algorithms on other different blockchains, and the safety is that it would take too long for you to try to break the code of that coin, and therefore it's safe. But with quantum computing, you'll be able to break it faster. But if we have quantum computers that can do something like that, all of your passwords on all websites are now invalid because they are protected by the same kind of hash algorithm. So that basically means all your Google passwords, all your Facebook passwords, none of those work anymore. And I mean, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think you can fork Bitcoin to then, if let's say, okay, this SHA-256 is compromised already, you can then fork Bitcoin into another blockchain that can counteract the problem with quantum computers. But I don't think quantum computers are going to get there anytime soon. So it's probably something that we don't have to worry about for the short term. So that's my thoughts on it.
So if quantum computing is the thing, all our passwords are invalid. So now I'm worried about my passwords more than my Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. It will change the world. If we have a quantum computer that can do that, the whole internet changes. So it's not just a problem for Bitcoin. It'll be everything that we know that uses passwords.
All right. So Alan Pang and Gary Chang have almost the same question. I'm going to combine them. At risk of asking you or asking us to endorse anything. So, but let's address the question. What are the platforms you suggest for beginners, such as wallets, P2P transfers, and how do we evaluate we start with the wallets first. Like what digital wallet is safe to store Bitcoins? Alan says that Binance Exchange got hacked before. Blah blah blah. So what are the essential tools for people to start investing and buying Bitcoin on and other cryptocurrencies?
Okay, so nothing is 100%. That's the first thing that you need to realize. Okay, whether you keep it on an exchange, whether it's on a hard wallet, you just have different kind of risk factors to it, right? But if you're gonna use an exchange, try to use the biggest. So the biggest crypto exchange is Binance. In Malaysia, it's Luno. For local fiat exchange, that's something that is good for beginners. So just go with the biggest one and use that. That's what I would say.
Right. For me, I use Luno to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. I like the boys at Luno. They seem like a bunch who knows their stuff. And I think what is great about Luno is behind the scenes. I kind of like that when in the early days of Luno in Malaysia, they rushed towards regulation and all this KYC protocols. They instead of shying away, they went forward with it, and I think and they got the SEC license in Malaysia, and I think the SEC is pretty stringent in Malaysia too. So and also they got the MAS approval in Singapore. So if Luno gets these two stringent bodies approval, I think they are pretty solid. Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
For now, but not an endorsement. But hey, I like
not
Luno.
an endorsement. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. This one is a speculation. I like this from Jeffrey Chung. Bitcoin is still at the early stage. This confirmed the guy who's long on Bitcoin. This guy is long on Bitcoin.
Right.
Less than 10% of the gold market share. The price will be stable when Bitcoin reaches the equilibrium price. Maybe 10 million per Bitcoin.
Wow.
I like this guy.
Right. I don't know. So I don't know how high Bitcoin can get to. It is something that it's difficult for me to believe that it can completely displace the gold's market cap. Definitely take a share of it for sure. But who knows? The way things are going, maybe I'll be proven wrong. I don't know how high Bitcoin is going to get to.
Yeah, I wish I knew. Then I can sell the point in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100x long.
Yeah, 100x long. Yeah. Just one my personal question to you before we wrap up the questions segment. Guys, by the way, thank you for all those of you who are watching. Any questions, please fire them away. Shaz is a very busy man. When he's not with me, he's trading Bitcoin left, right, center. And also altcoins, which comes to my next question. What are the other altcoins which you like, or you have been longing or shorting? What are your other thoughts on the altcoins?
Okay. Well, Ethereum is something that, of course, everybody's looking at. I think some of the big guys are also stocking up on Ethereum. Even the Winklevoss twins are actually talking up Ethereum.
Even the billionaire Chamath Palihapitiya.
Yes, exactly. So
he's a boss of Ethereum.
Yeah. So everybody, all the big guys are buying up Ethereum. So I think, especially with the fact that they are launching ETH 2.0, and in order to contribute to that to become a node, I think you need to lock up 32 ETH before you can become a node. So that means that there's a lot of Ethereum that's being sucked off the market right now, and Bitcoin has doubled in price since the last all-time high. Ethereum has not yet done that. So I'm looking at Ethereum. I think it's good. Polkadot, I think, is an interesting project. It's supposedly whatever Ethereum is going to do, Polkadot says they can do it now. So and also Polkadot has this inter-blockchain thing where different blockchains can talk to each other. So they seem to be a promising project. Yeah, those are the ones that's worth looking at. Of course, there's a lot of DeFi stuff out there as well. I think this is like DeFi mania. It used to be the last cycle was all about ICOs. This cycle is all about DeFi. So who knows what the next cycle is going to be about?
I kind of regret not getting into the ICO because it seems like every Tom, Dick, and Harry and their mothers could issue ICOs. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
We'll take one last question by Jeffrey Chung. Hi Shaz, how do you see the popular XRP dump and pump activities in Malaysia Facebook groups?
Well, this is the thing, right? I actually kind of suspect that it's going to be a pump and dump, So when some people are saying that this coin is going to pump at this time, and everybody pump and hold, who is actually going to listen to that? People are going to be like, no, I'm going to buy earlier. I'm going to wait for all of you to pump it, and then I'm going to dump on you. Like, do you actually think people on the internet are going to be, what's the word? Righteous?
Righteous.
You know what I mean? Is that what you expect people on the internet to be? So I paid attention to it, but it's not just in Malaysia. That was a worldwide pump and dump, and it's off the back of what happened to GameStop and Doge. So I would be very careful. I think pump and dumps are created by people who have already bought the coin, and you're going to be the ones holding the bags right at the end. So stay away from it if you can.
Yeah. I keep making fun of people who, not making fun lah. Well, yeah, like making fun, like people who they like to time the market, and it's, to me, it's insane because it's so hard to time the market in a traditional market sense, and crypto is just a totally different ballgame altogether with even crazier maniacs running amok. So it's nigh impossible to try and time the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the problem is that a lot of people are trying to get rich over one trade. Like, I get this one trade right, I'm rich. Yeah, that is not trading, it's gambling. So when you gamble, sometimes you lose everything. So that's the thing lah. People are treating it like a casino. That's the problem.
Yeah, but gambling is fun, Chaz.
Oh well, it's fun. It's fun for the casino.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we've come to the end of this podcast. This has been an amazing one, Shaz. Thank you so much. This is the episode that will be the benchmark for future episodes. So all the future guests, you got to be as charismatic as Shaz. Okay. Right now, a lot of podcasts love to do this, and I like to do this because it's fun, right? So we'll make it simple first. What is your Bitcoin price prediction 6 months from now?
So I don't know whether it's going to be 6 months from now, but I think at the peak, I'm going to go with closer to Tim Draper's prediction of about 220 to 250. So I think that's probably right. He was right before, so I'm guessing he's going to be right again.
So you're saying that it will reach 220, 250, and you're giving it a year to reach this.
Yeah, about 6 months. Yeah, about somewhere around there lah. Yeah, hard to say exactly when the peak is going to be, obviously, but at the peak somewhere around there. Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, I'm very conservative. I think about 75 to about 75 is the conservative one. If you ask me to go crazy, maybe 100,000 by the end of the year. And again, this is not financial advice because
of course
it can go down to $20.
Yeah. Now, when the dump comes, it'll be hard and fast. So yes.
Yeah, it's all fun and games now. And you never know when the next podcast will go on very, very depressed. Like, yeah, man. So Bitcoin dropped to 2,000, and it's just very boring and depressed. Yeah. Right. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. This podcast will be uploaded on my. If you've missed it, don't worry. You can watch it on the Facebook page, and you'll also be uploaded on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to do this weekly at first, and hopefully, when I get to interview more guests, we get to do studio interviews in person, which is much more fun. I think that'd be great. But in the meantime, do your own research and stay safe and have fun. Bye. Shah, say bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you very much. Bye.